Happy Alien Day, everyone. Happy LV-426 Day. We're here to talk about the luckiest franchise name ever, Alien, with my co-host Matt Garinko.
It is kind of crazy.
I'm your host Diego Crespo.
It is kind of crazy. No one had Alien in the back pocket, right? That
yeah.
No one. I mean, that's Halloween too. Like, this is that era where people are just like, what? Or Friday the 13th even, you know, where like they didn't even have a script. Yeah. They just wanted to see if anyone owned that title. But
yeah. What other titles are like that? It's like Doom. Like, I'm surprised no one really picked up Doom.
Yeah, Doom is one. I think like one-word titles, right? Like, what are but they have to be like also franchises that like lasted, right? Because there's just probably a few that like no one gives a shit about, but
yeah, like it's just like Alien, Predator. Kind of.
Predator,
although I would argue Alien has better longevity.
Yeah.
Or has had better longevity.
Well, the Predator,
which is strange because I think Predator makes more sense for a franchise, but we'll get to
Predator,
that.
Yeah, Predator is interesting though when you consider that I think the original script was Hunter, and Predator is like a far better title, right? Like, had they picked Hunter, Hunter does not work nearly as well as a name.
No.
It's weird that like now like the newest one was Prey. Right, like
yeah.
There's also the video game series Prey. So,
yeah. Like what's that like? We're here to talk about the Alien franchise, because I love Alien and Matt doesn't really anymore. Not I don't want to put words in your mouth, but we come at it from two very different spaces.
Yeah. Well, we did.
People that have listened to our podcast know where we stand, but to any hopeful potential new listeners,
well, here's the short.
I guess we could talk a little bit of our history.
Here's the short version of it: is that we did that retrospective 85 years ago. We did that retrospective. It was one of the first ones we did, possibly the first one. You said first, right? I can't totally remember.
I think it's the first like series retrospective.
Yeah, I think the first thing we did was like we talked about like Age of Ultron or something like that. Like, you just had me on to talk about it.
Yeah, because that's when we first started like talking and being friends, and then it was like, let's ruin that immediately.
Yeah, let's have an argument almost instantly. It set the tone anyway, and then I jumped into the Alien retrospective like not ready to like be a dick about it, right? Like I'm like, I like these movies, and I don't know what it was. By the end, I ended up like really burned out on like Alien as a concept, right? Like I just ended up really burned out, and it's kind of stayed that way. Where I'm not like I don't have the same enthusiasm I used to which is not me going back and being like, you know what, the movies secretly suck. It's like undeniably there's at least one masterpiece in the franchise, and there's a lot of stuff that's good in it, but I've kind of totally, I don't know, it plays differently for me now. Post that retrospective, and I don't know, it's strange, and I haven't really, my opinion hasn't really changed since then, but I have been more interested in trying to figure out why I feel the way I do now, which maybe we'll break apart a little bit today.
Yeah, so let's see, how do we do this? I guess we just,
I think we could just,
everyone knows where we're coming from at this point. You were burnt out. I have only grown to love them more.
Yeah.
Even the ones I said I didn't like in the initial retrospectives. Like, I do love Alien Resurrection and Prometheus now. And I always kind of loved Alien Covenant, like out the gate.
That's the one I really, I cannot abide, really. Like, Covenant is the one where I'm like, no.
It's too gross.
I genuinely, I can't think of a movie that like made me feel worse by the end of it. Off the top of my head, right? That wasn't just like a
Mhm.
like what's worse is that like because Ridley Scott is a good director, right? Like it's visually a good movie, but uh it's I just find I've said it, I find the ending of that movie, I find most of that movie morally repugnant. And I say that as someone who will watch really fucked up movies a lot and defend them. And
Mhm.
what's the most insane? Like, I mean, by not by the time this comes out, but like there's a movie we did as a bonus episode that I kind of defended, for our,
Yeah.
which I like. I will say I like that movie more than Covenant, and I find less morally objectionable about that movie. Um,
Yeah, and I find that movie interesting, but I don't like it, and
yeah,
I probably won't rewatch it anytime
no,
soon.
I get that.
And yeah.
But like I really it's one of those where like
Yeah.
I will only put on Alien Covenant if like I want to ruin my day. Like that movie really that might be the reason why I'm so bummed out because that's kind of how we ended the series, right? Like we kind of led into Covenant
Mhm.
and yeah, like that's a horrible note to end on. Um
Yeah.
I really all right, like look, I don't want to like
It's
bully
yeah.
you over it. Like
Okay,
but
okay.
like what I'm genuinely trying to think of a way to not say this in a mean way.
Okay, I thought you were gonna be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Kinda, but when you get to that ending, like what are you feeling? And I'm not
uh,
saying like you feel like this isn't me going like Diego secretly thinks everything that happens in the movie is fine and cool. Like I know that like we're both on the same
yeah,
page that it's a bet like a dark ending, right? Like
yeah. No,
I'm not.
it is one of the darkest endings
Yeah,
in a Hollywood produced picture ever, and
yeah,
I think it's weird that no one talks about it that
yeah.
way. I think that's interesting. I don't think it's good.
Right.
Like, I think the movie is good, and I think it's better for that because that's what I like about
Uh
it.
huh.
I think I'm drawn to movies now. Um, if they're based in genre, I don't mind them getting more mean and cynical.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really I haven't you and I haven't talked about this publicly. We both saw a movie
Yes.
and Civil War. And I have the way you feel about Covenant, I kind of feel about Civil War, but I'm not nearly as negative.
Okay.
I'm more just mixed on that movie,
Yeah.
but I think that gets to similar territory where like technically that is kind of a genre picture.
Yeah.
It plays like one, but the material isn't, and so I feel mixed about that versus Alien Covenant, where all the big ideas about like the creation and like the weird like hammer horror vibes in the monster like there's a mad scientist in the movie, like they turned the robot into a mad scientist, like
Yeah.
it's just such a weird decision for a mainstream Hollywood sequel that I'm really fascinated by these things. Like it's like Ridley Scott being like, I want to do more Blade Runner, and I also want to. If you want your fucking xenomorph back in the Alien franchise, here's your fucking
Well,
like he's like
that's
angry about it,
yeah.
and I think you could feel it, and I think that's like I think if you how you respond to that, what I just explained right now determines how you feel about the movie basically.
Well, I think a lot of that is
I think you're turned off by
already.
that, and I think I'm like obsessed with it.
I think a lot of that is already done in Prometheus, and I think Prometheus does it better. Another movie I don't care for, but I think a lot of like the ideas that Covenant plays with are already present in Prometheus, and
I would agree with that.
Covenant feels like a weird like. That's a weird one. I really don't know why Covenant exists as a movie. Like I don't. Um, it is kind of like it feels
Well,
like
there's all this stuff about it. It was supposed to be way weirder as a straight up Prometheus
yeah,
sequel, and then kind of gets retrofitted into like Prometheus sequel and another Alien movie.
yeah,
And I think that tension actually made it more interesting to me. I would have liked to have seen more Prometheus stuff. And here's something that I came to realize, like that makes this even weirder for me specifically. because I didn't respond to Prometheus until after I responded so strongly to Covenant, I think I would have hated Covenant had I loved Prometheus out the gate.
Mm-hmm.
Because that movie it's not a fuck you to Prometheus by any stretch of the imagination, but it does kind of like angrily reject any hint of like wonder that Prometheus offers. Because I think Prometheus does go for like the wonder, like it doesn't matter like what these characters have gone through, like Dr. Elizabeth Shaw, there's still like this element of like faith for her that like space is going to give her some semblance of answers or even like peace and like her quest among the stars, right? And then Alien Covenant's like, no, humanity created Satan, and we all live in hell, and we're all gonna just be dragged across the stars to our graves. And so if I loved Prometheus, that would have upset me, which I know it did to some Alien fans, frankly.
Yeah, you got a lot of enthusiasm when you talk about these movies, and
I do.
You couldn't have said worse things in terms of trying to win me over to liking them.
Oh no. I am just explaining where I stand.
Yeah.
I know I'm not coming to win you over today. I don't think that's possible.
But I'm just saying,
which
like,
is understandable.
don't you want to try to like when I like a movie, I try to sell it to other people, right? Like, I want to get them to like it.
You know what the thing is? You know what? I think generally yes. I think I love these movies so much because they are just kind of, I feel like they're kind of mine. I don't really care what other people think about Alien Resurrection, for example, anymore. I'm just like, no, I respond to this now. I guess, or especially Alien 3. I've never been more like happy to love Alien 3.
Yeah.
I don't really care that other people think it's the worst one anymore.
But here's what's weird for me is that like these are glorified monster movies, right? Like, and
yeah, the infamous or the famous Ridley Scott quote of there's like they're B movies made at like an A level picture.
Yeah. And I mean, it's kind of like the post Star Wars things of like genre movies can now be like these big things, right? Like that, like we can now do these type of movies. And I'm the monster movie guy, right? Like I should almost like these movies just for the monster stuff. And what's weird about them and Predator too, which is odd, is that I think a lot of those sequels tend to fall apart when the actual monster shows up. Like I'm usually engaged until the actual monster stuff kicks in, which is the opposite for me with most monster movies, where you're almost like get through all the fucking boring talking so this monster can just like rip someone's head off. Like, and yeah, it's like I really should be in the pocket for these movies, and I'm just not. And I feel like I'm getting further and further from them the older I get, especially when you have people like you talking about it in such praise, and I'm just like, fucking really? Like, no offense, like I'm not. I just
no.
Genuinely,
I think this is why we're having this discussion, because like. I think I look back at like other stuff I really used to love. Like I mean, I'm not trying to drag Alex Garland through the mud. I think he's an excellent writer and sometimes great director. But like I look back at like how I responded to Ex Machina, for example. It's like 5 stars, and now I look back at it, I'm like, it's probably like a really strong 3 stars. Like I've seen more stuff. I'm better read now. Like it's more someone's first like prestige sci-fi picture.
I'm actually the opposite.
I think anyone's best work.
Ex Machina is weird, where I didn't like it the first time I saw it, and it's grown on me. So.
Oh really?
Yeah, I actually like it more now than I initially did.
Okay.
Yeah,
that is interesting.
And Annihilation is maybe taking a step down a little bit, but I do find that movie interesting. I think there's a certain
that's my favorite of his directed stuff. I think it's that and Dread, I think, are like a step above.
Yeah. Did he direct Dread or did he just write it?
No, and he directed it.
Okay, I have no memory.
He wrote it and extremely produced it. Extremely.
Okay.
No.
All right. I just remember that it was like one of those movies where like, wow, this movie actually uses 3D kind of interestingly, like that last era where they were still kind of doing that. But
yeah, like I'm just saying, look at the listed directors credits on that movie, and then look at Alex Garland's credits.
All right,
it's very clear who won the day with that movie
Okay.
is all I'll
Okay.
say.
But what was I saying? Yeah, I feel Ex Machina is a weird one where like yeah, it has kind of grown on me the more I thought about it. But I also think that's like but it's also again it's not like I think it's one of those weird things where like a lot of people came out of Ex Machina being like brilliant movie, right? And I kind of
Mm-hmm.
came out of being like I don't know about that, Chief. But then like I watched it, I'm like no, it's like just a really solid monster movie. Like that's what it is. It's a monster movie with a robot monster, right? Like it's like that's what
Mm-hmm.
Ex Machina is, you know? And so
Yeah.
because I didn't I didn't come out with like overwhelming praise. I'm just like, oh, if you just like strip it down to like a genre film, it's a pretty good genre movie, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's one of the better ones. It's not gonna change how you view life itself, but it's in terms of just like, oh, it's an interesting little robot story. Um, so maybe that's why, but like I don't know. Yeah, with the fucking alien films. Yeah, I don't know. And I also just I like again like where you're so we got like two alien things on the horizon, right? We got Alien
Yeah.
Romulus, right? That's what it's called, right?
Yeah, that's the Fede Alvarez movie.
Yeah. And then what's the other one? This the show.
Uh, it's just called Alien for now. It's a
Okay.
TV show
Well,
from the hack Noah Hawley,
yeah,
the
yeah.
coward.
Well, it shows how creative that show is at this point. Um, yeah, that's a good idea to have two competing things. That's really smart.
I know.
Um,
Yeah. Noah Hawley, the scab, by the way, before people forget.
yeah,
I got to keep
no, no,
shouting that because I'm coming across people that didn't know that.
yeah.
So I just have to
Most
be
people
annoying
don't.
about
Most
it.
people
Sorry.
don't know that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
a lot of people.
Yeah, it's not their fault they don't know. It just hasn't been like.
A lot of people
Yeah.
scabbed, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But
Oh, Deadpool 3. You saw the trailer?
hey,
I'm bringing that up for no reason.
oh man, I mean, yeah, got.
Sorry.
So,
I'll take a step back.
no, it's so funny that Deadpool like knows he's in a movie. It's like, can you believe it? Can you believe we're doing this? It's like Ryan Reynolds, man.
10 years ago, that would have been the most viewed trailer of all time.
Yeah. Well, didn't the new one like break some sort of record? Like,
No, they said this about the last time, the teaser too, and they counted like the Super Bowl views,
oh, okay.
like not for the trailer, the viewers of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They were like, those are our trailer numbers too, plus the other hundreds of millions that saw our trailer online. It's like, well, there's like 10 million people that saw on YouTube. There's like another couple million that saw on another channel. There was another couple million that saw it on Twitter. Okay, that's millions. That's tens of millions.
People do like that Deadpool.
That's not the most viewed trailer of all time.
People do like Deadpool though. Although I don't know what
That's true.
I
don't think it's making $1 billion.
I don't know if I've met a human being organically though that has seen Deadpool 2.
Yeah, I think people just like the Deadpool idea.
Mm.
No one's been able to like no one. They don't have staying power though. That's the thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you know what?
I think they're very of the moment.
They've stayed with a certain segment of the public because like they talk about Deadpool a lot. But I also think I think it is more the idea than the actual movie. So, man, do you remember like that like kind of last wave, like when the MCU was like ascending, where like if you went to a Barnes and Noble and you went to the comics section, it felt like 50% of the comic book section was Deadpool shit. Like,
yeah,
that was even before the movie. Like, Deadpool was huge for that moment. It was like
yeah. And before anyone says we're off base, it's another 20th Century Fox production. So,
what was that?
yeah.
Oh yeah, sure.
Before anyone says like
Yeah.
we're off track, we're not. Same
Oh
company.
yeah, Disney owns it.
production-wise.
Yeah, Disney owns Alien now. That's gonna go.
Oh, that too. Yeah, they got bought out by the same
The
fucking people.
Alien. I'm sure Disney knows what to do with Alien.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that Romulus. Yeah, and like,
Well, we will see. I think it looks cool, and I'm just concerned about.
Here's the thing,
stuff,
like
but we'll get there when we
here's
get
the thing
there.
when like the Evil Dead Rises trailer came out. I'm like, yeah, Evil Dead. Let's do this again. Like, I'm not, I know what I want from it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
as long as it delivers on just like insane shit happening with a bit of a sense of humor, like I'm good. And that's what that movie did, and it was great. Uh, I what like when you what are you looking for when you see the Alien Romulus trailer?
I want to see sweat on people's eyebrows. I want to see close-ups of people's eyes. I want to see running through hallways, and I want to see some really darkly lit, bloody rooms. That's all I need to see. Anything else, I need it to be a surprise. Um, I don't think we've talked about the trailer apart from me just like starting a Twitter thread because
I
I do
was
that for movies I get excited
I
about.
was dunking on you because the 100%
I know, I know,
they're
I
gonna
know.
do a CGI Ian Holm in that thing.
Yes, yes, that's.
There's
I don't
that's
know for sure,
that's a guarantee.
so we will see.
I
That's the thing I'm concerned
it's
about.
not even about like the rumors around it. It is the that last shot in the trailer was all I needed to see to be like they absolutely did that shit because she's in the like Ripley pose, right? Like, and she's holding the
Hmm.
thing, and it's like you don't do that unless you're trying to make people think of another movie. And if that's what this trailer's trying to do, and if that's what this movie's trying to do, then they definitely brought Ian Holm back through CGI. So,
I hope we're both wrong.
I mean,
I really, really do.
they could be scrambling right now because it feels like anytime anything AI or like that sort of shit, like that deep fake shit starts happening, like people like freak the fuck out. So, uh,
Yeah.
but
So if it is true and they have time to change it, I need them to do
yeah,
that.
it,
Um,
I doubt Ian Holm would be that
please.
integral to the story.
Yeah. It's every fucking movie they introduce like a new android.
Yeah,
So
as long as
you could
David
just like do
isn't back,
that.
I'm good.
What if it's like what if it wins you over, but David's like in the movie?
It won't. If he's in the movie, I won't win me over.
Okay.
Unless he like
Okay. Well,
shows up and they like
um,
cave his head in with something. Like unless they kill him, like I'm.
notoriously chill Michael Fassbender.
It's not. You know what? It really isn't even the Michael Fassbender thing. I just hate that character.
Okay,
I'm
I think he's
all right. All right.
one of the best
All right.
modern
All right.
science fiction
All right.
characters.
Sell me on it.
No, moving
No,
on.
no. Come on, man. Come on. Look. There you go. There you go.
Okay. Yeah. Let me think. I don't know. I'm fascinated by this idea of like, um, this thing that's been created to serve other people, right? It's to be subservient, and then it starts questioning, like, okay, well, like if that's all I'm here for, like, who were you created to be subservient? It starts asking these interesting science fiction questions to me about like, who created who, like to what end are we here for? To what end or do we even create anything? Like it's like leftover Blade Runner ideas that Ridley Scott never got to like tamper with,
It's leftover
and
Frankenstein ideas.
well that too, but like I just like it in this franchise.
I get it.
I think it's
I get
it's a
liking that
compelling
idea,
addition.
and it's been done a lot better in other things. But I'm asking about.
You know what? I don't know that it
It has
has.
significant. The fucking Hammer horror movies are better, but Hammer Frankenstein movies are great and
Some of them are.
and deal with a lot more interesting ideas. But here's I'm just all right. It's not even that like all right. Yes, creators creating whatever the fuck jerk off session, but like what is it about David? And like I'm not even being like he has to like this is not me being like what do you like about David, this horrible monster? Like I'm not trying to get you to like defend
Yeah.
a
No.
monstrous
You want genuine answers.
because like
and I think that's
you can find a villainous character compelling, right? Or like and you can see them do awful shit after awful shit and still want to watch them. And,
yeah. That's what I get out of him. I
but
mean,
what
I think it's a really bold decision to basically make your prequel to your original franchise, like where we're following like someone's their strive for like autonomy, right? And a franchise that keeps trying to take it away from Ellen Ripley, and then you got this guy who's like the inverse of that, where he's basically trying to, like, I can't think of the words for it, but you're following the antagonist in the prequels, which is what I really like. I think it's a really bold decision, and
you know though
I don't know, he's just like electric to me.
He's not. He doesn't really do enough though. Like, I feel like
he instigates like a lot of the stuff in even in Prometheus, and I remember because in our Alien Covenant discussion, you thought he didn't have anything like established in Prometheus that would have made him a villain, but I went back and watched that movie, and there's plenty of little stuff. You see him starting to tinker, not outwardly like villainous like he is in Covenant, but there's stuff where he's like, what does this do? What does that do? He puts the little goop in the drink that the guy drinks, and that's what that's what pops out.
So fucking dumb.
I know the black goop is a little silly, but I do love it.
Bullshit. What is the line? Is he an expert in things that have never happened before? But no. All right. I'm trying to get to the heart of why. Like, you're like, these are bold moves. I'm like, sure. Doesn't mean they're good, but I'll give you that. They're bold moves. I'm just saying, I don't get, like, what if it's one of those things where I don't know. I don't see what's interesting about David. I'm like, this guy will never say anything interesting or engaging ever. He's not charming in the slightest. He's not compelling in his strangeness. I'm just talking.
I find his strangeness very compelling.
He just looks at.
I wouldn't say he's charming though. I definitely wouldn't say that.
No. I'm just saying, like, of the things an evil character can be, right? Like, sometimes you're charmed by the villain, right? There's definitely like that like flirtation scene in in Covenant with they play the fucking flute, man. Like, and
yeah,
it's like self-cessed. Like, it's
yeah.
I just don't see it. Like, how do you watch Lawrence of Arabia as much as he did and, like, not get it?
I assume he watched other stuff.
Yeah, but he really seems to like Lawrence of Arabia.
Well, you know
I
what?
guess you could ask that about
that's
Ridley
not
Scott's.
a writing flaw.
I guess you could ask that about Ridley Scott's whole filmography.
I mean, yes, but I don't think that's a writing flaw. I think that's a character flaw. Because even in Covenant, when he says he's quoting Byron, the other android, the other Michael Fassbender, shakes his head and goes, "No, Shelley." Mm-hmm. So like David is like flawed. He doesn't have the capacity to truly know and understand everything. Like he makes mistakes like a person does. And I think that's what I kind of find interesting too. Mm-hmm. Like his failures make him more human than he wants to be. He doesn't want to be human. He wants to be like the next evolutionary step, and that's when he starts tinkering with the little goop.
Right. You know what he reminds me of? I don't know if I don't know if you ever discussed this, but like I know I've thought this before. Remember Portal 2?
Oh yeah.
Remember Wheatley?
We've never talked about this, but go ahead.
Remember Wheatley, that like he's the orb that like he's a robot that is designed to just make bad decisions.
Yeah.
He was only made to like slow the other, Gladys down. Like that they would attach him to her to like keep her from making like too many insane decisions. So it would just be a never-ending series of bad ideas. And he's like a tragic figure. Like, and that's a comedy game.
Yeah.
But it's like really sad because he can't, like he is programmed to not make good decisions. So, I guess that's what it is. I don't really know what David was like, what they wanted David to be initially. Even as like if you just want to be like servant, but like even that isn't as interesting. Like you think about like 2001: A Space Odyssey, right? Like, like what's like like, and people debate all the time whether or not Hal was malicious or malfunctioning, right? Like that's something people debate to this very day. And it's one of these things where like we programmed this perfect computer, but then we also taught it to lie, right? Like, and no one seemed to think about the consequences of that. Like, what happens if you teach a supercomputer duplicity, and then whether or not you read it as Hal being actively malicious, or if Hal essentially has like the robot version of a mental collapse, right? Because he can't keep the two ideas of like supporting the crew and lying to them together at the same time. That's interesting, right? And that's a question. That's why like science fiction is so hard, because 2001 kind of did all the really good ideas all in one movie. But that's kind of like it. Like Hal was just thought of as a tool, and they just made him like this really smart tool, and no one thought what would happen if you asked it to lie, right? Like everyone was like, well, he's just a computer, like he's that won't have any effect on him, and it's like, no, it leads to everything going wrong. But I just don't see the same with David.
Well, look, you don't have to drop that yet, the David stuff, but I do think I found a segue into something we wanted to talk about, where you mentioned like 2001 did kind of cover all the science fiction stuff. I think I do agree with you about this with Alien, is that Alien kind of does it perfectly, the first Alien.
Yeah.
So even like the better Alien ripoffs, some of which I love a lot, and the Aliens ripoffs, of which there are many, and less of which I love. It's like, I could just watch Alien or Aliens.
Yeah.
Like I might prefer, like, I don't know if this is sacrilegious, I might prefer Predator to Aliens, but I don't prefer a lot to Aliens, and that's like on my mood. That's depending on my mood.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah.
And so we both, I think we both did, made compilation lists of movies that are influenced by Alien or the Alien franchise, but mostly Alien. And I think we can kind of like compare and contrast, like. Well,
I think you made a bigger list than
why
me looking.
The franchise has lasted, even though it's gotten so many ripoffs.
I think you made a longer list than me, so we could just draft off of yours. Because I doubt, like, if you don't bring something up that's on mine, then I'll bring it up. But
okay.
So how about we just go like in chronological order? Of just like
So this is after the original Alien. So there's stuff like that similar that came before, like obviously everyone knows Planet of the Vampires, stuff like that. Doesn't matter here. We're talking about
It, the Terror from Beyond Space. I mean, a lot of Alien is like at the Mountains of Madness type stuff. And honestly, like Prometheus almost feels like an attempt to make Alien more like At the Mountains of Madness. Like
it's At the Mountains of Madness in space.
Yeah, and again, it's the thing is like Alien kind of just does it right. So why are we trying over and over again? But yes, so yeah, we'll skip the influences, which I think. Although I don't remember if I brought this up because I was just reminded of this today that Dan O'Bannon, the writer of Alien, had Crohn's disease, which I also have. And I'll just say this, that explains a lot about Alien. If you want to know what Alien's about, it's about having Crohn's disease. And I'm not even joking. That's what it's like, people. So.
Oh, see, so that's why you burnt out in the franchise.
Maybe because they lost that initial theme, because it seems like that's something Ridley Scott didn't give a shit about.
Yeah.
What if I made it about lofty ideas? Like, why don't you make it about how the human body's a fucking nightmare? But anyway, all right.
How did David Cronenberg never get tapped for an Alien with that?
Because he made better movies.
Than Alien?
Actually,
you know what, mate? He's obviously got some fucking bangers and like a handful of masterpieces.
I think The Fly and Videodrome both mean more to me than Alien.
Okay.
Which is not a
those are fucking incredible.
Yeah, again, like those are like two amazing movies. Like,
Yeah.
It's
Did you see Crimes of the Future yet?
Yeah, it's good. It's really good.
Yeah, that's like a
it is
that's edging on like top 5 Cronenberg.
it's
For me.
kind of
I was
fascinating
like blown away by
that
that
it's
one.
like, oh, he can still do it, like, you know, especially when he spent so far away from that type of horror film, or even, I don't even know if you want to call it a horror film, but yeah.
I didn't consider it, but I guess The Fly is it's because it's not an attempt at like a rip off of Alien, but it kind of occupies a similar space.
Yeah.
When you,
Well, I mean,
when you look at it that way.
he is one of the forerunners. Cronenberg is kind of one of the forerunners to Alien, and doesn't really get enough credit because like body horror is kind of starting in the 70s, right? And it's more just because like those type of special effects are becoming cheaper and cheaper, right? Like that's sort of like like the goo and the viscera type stuff is becoming cheaper, and it's becoming something audiences are more receptive to than they would have been, you know, in the 60s even. I mean, I guess I would guess The Exorcist is probably the start of that, right? Where like she's like straight up like puking on people and like using the crucifix that way and shit like that. Like I bet that laid the groundwork. But like Cronenberg is out there making early body horror stuff before Alien exists. So yeah.
Well, the very first one that I have not seen this movie, but I was just kind of doing a cursory search, like, what do the Reddit nerds think of this? Like, movies that are similar to Alien, right? Because I had some of my own, but I was like, I want to make sure I get stuff like that comes out right after. There's a movie called Inseminoid,
yes,
which I have not seen. But it's about what it sounds like, which is gross and weird and disgusting. But that is like straight up just like the Alien subtext is text.
Yeah,
like
it's
very heavy stuff.
Well, it's just someone
treated with crassness.
Yeah, it's just like, what if we did a ripoff and just made it like grosser so we could sell it to people? Like, it's that. Yeah. It's kind of what it is.
Well, it's like it's Italian or something, right?
It's Italian.
It's made by a bunch of perverts.
I was gonna ask you if it was Italian, but
yeah,
I mean,
well, because there's that in Seminoid. Shout out to anyone who's seen that or heard of it before I just mentioned it.
Who's in it? Wait, who is in Seminoid? I just want to check real quick.
Robin Clark, Jennifer Ashley, Stephanie Beacham.
Yeah. All right. It's been a while. I saw that.
Directed by Norman J. Warren.
Yeah, I had to have seen it like way back in the day, probably like a video rental. So, but yeah, that's one of the earlier ones. What year? That's 81.
Yeah.
So
that's 81. Also in 81 is the infamous Galaxy of Terror.
The Roger Corman,
which I think we've both seen, right?
Yeah. That's, I mean, is that's also the one that like Cameron works on that, right? Like James Cameron's one of the special effects people on. I think that's why it's one of those movies where it, you know, it's an Alien ripoff that James Cameron worked on. So, like, yeah. But that's another one where, again, where
he's like, these guys don't know what they're doing, but I might.
Well, it takes like with both of these movies, we also see the sort of subtext of Alien, which, like, I mean, it's not like Alien is like a subtle movie, right? Like, it's, but the subtext made text and made grosser, right? Of like the themes of like just violation, which is like, it's not really a theme in either of these movies, right? Like,
yeah, it just kind of happens.
It's just like
because it's like, well, that's what happens in Alien.
Yeah, just like, wouldn't that be fucked up if it happened? It's like, well, yeah, like,
yeah.
That's another thing with like Covenant, man. Of just like, if you take the Alien idea of like violation and like put that on the ending of Covenant, like, Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Like,
it's a little rough.
A little?
It's not pleasant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, I hate David.
I know.
I want to get like.
I'm sorry. I didn't really have an offense for him.
I want to get like a steamroller and just crush that fucking droid.
The shout out to Roger Corman, the great Roger Corman, who produced Galaxy of Terror.
Yep.
He's still alive.
Yeah, can you
that
believe
is insane
it?
to me, but awesome, so awesome.
He's gonna be he's 98, so he's getting up there.
Yeah.
Does he? I mean,
we have.
Does he still do anything now? Like he puts his name on
He's
stuff.
about to produce like Joe Dante's new movie.
Oh, right.
Joe Dante's actually directing something again.
Oh, yeah. Well, doesn't Joe Dante wants to do the movie, the Roger Corman biopic, right? Like, that's been one of those...
I'm sure he probably does, well, but he wants to keep working. I think, you know?
What is it? There's some unmade Joe Dante movie that I think is the Roger Corman. That's like the man with the kaleidoscope eyes or something like that. Like it was, and it's sometimes it was like a play on the man with X-ray eyes, but it was going to be about Roger Corman. And it's one of those like it was the rumored like Joe Dante movie he might make, but it like never happened. So someone fucking let Joe Dante make that shit. But
yeah. Now I wasn't gonna bring this up movie wise, but I think. Because you brought up Dan O'Bannon, like, we do kind of talk about Life Force for a second.
Yes.
Because Dan O'Bannon's other works are way more, like, satirical than Alien ends up being.
Yeah.
And I don't want to spend too long on, like, the what's his, what isn't, like, in the amazing making of documentaries that come with the Alien franchise box set, which I would recommend. I think they're some of the best alongside, like, the original Star Wars docs and the Lord of the Rings docs. Mm-hmm. But Dan O'Bannon, like, is very candid and saying, very, very candid. But he's like, you know, like, I felt disrespected. They took the movie away from me, you know. And other people were like, yeah, you know, he kind of walked around, checked everyone's, like, concept art and kind of nodded or, like, shook his head in disapproval. And, you know, it sounds like he was maybe, he thought it was his movie, but whatever. And, but then he, you know, he does go on to say, like, you know, he ends up crying at the premiere because he realized like what a big impact this idea that he had had on the general public, and you know, but his other stuff is not tonally similar to Alien, like at all. Of course, being Life Force, which is like the Canon Pictures blockbuster,
yeah.
Attempt.
Didn't it bomb?
A genuinely insane movie.
Like it bombed, right?
Oh fuck yeah, it bombed. It was a huge bomb.
And for those who don't know,
but it shouldn't have.
Just because it's kind of connected. It's based on a book called The Space Vampires, which was published in '76 before Alien even came out. So, hey,
you know. No, I mean, he was of an older era, and he had a lot of funky genre ideas.
No, it's one of those things where like, look. We can. I think people maybe go like, Aliens is a rip off of this, which I definitely play a part in that. But it's also like he took from everything. It's Star Wars. Like he took from everything, right? Like he took from everything.
I mean, I think all writers just do that. It's like you take your inspiration from wherever, and then if it's good, you'll make it like stand out on its own.
Yeah. I also think like Alien for a lot of people is like a first person's like Alien movie, you know. So then you watch some other stuff and you go like, oh, Alien just got it from this, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like Star Wars and the Hidden Fortress. Like, yeah, it is that, but it's also just not. It's so much more. Not that the Hidden Fortress isn't enough, but it's other things besides that.
Yeah.
I mean, like if you watch Dark Star after Alien, you're like, oh, they did this already. And it's like on paper, kind of, but also not at all, you know? Like not nearly at all. Return of the Living Dead is probably the thing Dan O'Bannon is most known for outside of Alien, I would argue.
Yeah, which he also directed.
Yeah, which is kind of a fucking banger.
Yeah.
I love Return of the Living Dead. Like that's one of the most punk rock movies like ever made, I think. Which also had a franchise longevity for a little bit there.
Check out Return of the Living Dead.
Did you see those sequels ever?
Yeah, Return of the Living Dead 3 rules.
Yeah, that's the best sequel.
I saw that.
It's not better than the first one.
I saw that on
one.
like HBO at like 2 a.m. one night. Like
that's incredible.
I know. Like I'm like fucking 12. And like that fucking movie comes on.
How do you even process that movie at the age of 12?
You kind of just don't. Like if you don't know what's going on, right? Like you just don't like. You're like, oh okay. And then like when you're older, you're like, Jesus Christ, that fucking movie. Like, but I mean, you don't get like I saw these movies. A lot of these movies you're talking about, I saw when I was very young. So like. You just don't get it when you're a kid. Like you just don't understand those things, and when you're older, it's like, oh, okay. But
well, I've mentioned Aliens kind of like my gateway to horror because it's the one horror franchise I watched before I was like no longer a scaredy cat. But Return of the Living Dead, I was always like cursory curious about it because like I love Night of the Living Dead. I always love Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and then I see Day of the Dead later because that one was hard to track down, and now Dawn of the Dead's harder to track down. Whatever. And then I'm looking up Return of the Living Dead stuff, and I'm like, they made a part 2, and it looks like the same stuff happens. The town ends with a nuke, whatever. And like with 3, I don't know what that is. What's this one about Rave to the Grave and Necropolis? Oh, they're on Sci-Fi? I could just watch these? And then I watch them and I'm like, what the I didn't know movies could be that bad yet. I was like, holy shit.
Man, I was
no disrespect to anybody who worked on them. It's just like you know what happens.
The Sci-Fi Channel was in regular circulation on my TV back in the day. I probably watched every monster movie marathon they ever did on the Sci-Fi Channel between like 2002 to like 2006. And a lot of shit, a lot of garbage.
Yeah, but I have fond memories of perusing through the garbage. Really quick, because I think these are also kind of like, this is when you start getting the Aliens ripoffs, and specifically James Cameron with like Deep Star 6 and Leviathan.
Yeah. Well, those are interesting.
Which are just like Aliens in the Abyss.
Yeah, and it's funny that those movies are clearly made because James Cameron announced he was doing The Abyss, and everyone just assumed The Abyss would be alien underwater, right? Like everyone just assumed that's what that movie would be. So everyone rushed to get their version of it made. And then it comes out and he actually did The Day the Earth Stood Still underwater. So
yeah, and it's like maybe his most beautiful emotional movie.
Yeah.
It's like
it's a beautiful movie. It would look great in 4K. I'm just saying.
It would.
Once you get it in like 4K, that picture would to see that movie in 4K would be amazing.
Yeah. By the way, remind me. There's a 35 millimeter scan that fell off a truck somewhere. I don't have it, but if you were interested, I think I know the location of where that truck dropped some stuff off. So
I'm an honorable person, and I trust James Cameron, so I will wait for his official 4K version of The Abyss.
Cut to like rioting in the streets over the quality of his 4Ks recently.
What happened there,
this
man?
leads me to
what happened there?
I don't know.
What happened?
That fucking dude here. I was gonna bring up Shocking Dark.
Come and get your boy.
We're gonna talk about that in a second, but
come and get your boy.
What that dude revolutionizes digital filmmaking alongside George Lucas, and he can't get fucking film scans properly. Like, what is that? What is that? Mm-hmm. Who did this to him? Who did this to me? You know? I don't know. Whatever. Shocking Dark. I guarantee a lot of people haven't seen this movie.
AKA Terminator 2.
Yes, that is not a joke.
No, it is not.
It's not a joke. This is important because it's directed by Bruno Mattei, Italian pervert who directed Zombie 3, Cruel Jaws, the movie that's Jaws 5 but also legally not.
Yeah. He's made a
Shocking Dark was their attempt of doing that for Terminator 2.
He also did a movie called Robo War that is basically just Predator.
I haven't seen that one, but I should because I fucking love this trash.
It stars Reb Brown. It's pretty terrible.
Awesome.
But yeah,
I do kind of love Zombie 3. Like a little bit.
Sure.
Well, it's just so like, yeah, it's just, this is from an era when fucking trash was like genuine trash. Mm-hmm. Like, I think we settle for so bad they're good movies now with like rare exceptions, like Cats, which is just like legendary at this point. Like it doesn't have a patch on Zombie 2, the Lucio Fulci movie. But Zombie 3, I think, is like, if you love repulsive shit, here you go. I guess Zombie 2 does it better is the thing. But, Shocking Dark, it's like if it's you're watching Aliens, and then it kind of turns into Terminator by the end.
Yeah.
That's
not
a
a
good way of
very
putting it.
good movie, but it's a fascinating movie.
Yeah, you should watch it. Frankly,
is it even like what is the availability of it at this point? Like,
I just opened. It's on Tubi, so
Okay.
it's a Tubi classic.
it was one of the
If you're a movie.
Tubi seems like the only place you could really get it, because it is one of those where, like, I think you couldn't even, like, get a legal copy of it in the United States for the longest time.
No. Now you can buy it and rent it, like, digitally.
Okay.
Like, it's available now.
But there was, like, a stretch...
Yeah, Shocking Dark. That's the title you should look up.
Yeah. But there was a stretch where I think, like, you had to get, like, an import VHS even. Like...
Yeah, like, I had heard about it for, like, a decade as I enter my obsession with... the Alien and Predator stuff, and then eventually the zombie stuff, like we're talking about. I'm like, what the fuck is this movie? Or I had Googled like Terminator 2 or something.
Yeah, you get this fucking
Terminator
thing.
2 is like a seminal movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm like, what is that? There's another Terminator sequel? No, what is this? But yeah, if you're like Italian trash movies and you're on Tubi, that might as well be like winning the Oscar or the Palme d'Or.
Yeah.
Like, you should watch those.
So that movie is called Terminator 2, but it's also called Aliens 2. Which is kind of...
Wait, is it?
Yeah.
I know there's an Aliens 2 ripoff, but I thought it was something else.
Well, there's also Alien 2 on Earth, which I think is another Italian ripoff.
Yes.
There's another Italian one that was also known as Alien Terror. That was made in 1980, so like right after Alien. But yeah, they just straight up called it Alien 2. Like, can you imagine?
Yeah. There's some chitter chatter in one of the Reddit comment sections that said Tremors kind of works as an Alien like style ripoff, and I don't know if I'd agree with that.
No, that's a Jaws movie.
Yeah,
that's a Jaws ripoff. That's not an Alien.
Even
ripoff.
the poster, the famous Tremors poster, like it's the Jaws thing. Yeah. It's just under dirt instead of water. I don't agree with that.
I also like, as much as like you can definitely be like, look, movies like Leviathan and what's the other one from Deep Star 6?
Deep Star 6.
Yeah, even though those are like definitely like influenced by Alien, I wouldn't put them in the Alien ripoff category totally, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that there has to be, I think a key element of an Alien ripoff versus like a different type of Alien movie is you have to seek it out in space, right? Like it doesn't just come to Earth, or it isn't something that's already on Earth. I think that's a key element. But
well, this is where it gets even stranger, because now we're officially starting to reach the Aliens ripoffs. Like, in your opinion, like Alien as this perfectly formed machine of a movie, like what do you think, if you had like a sentence to describe what Alien was, or Alien ripoff, besides the space thing, right? Because I think you can do an Alien ripoff on Earth, more or less. Like, what do you think defines that versus Aliens?
Well, I think a big thing about the first Alien is that it's usually it has like a body horror element to it, right? It has an element of either the alien is how do you say it? Like, it is birthed by the person, right? Like that it's like a parasitic type thing, or the person turns into an alien somehow, right? There's tons of movies like that where the guy gets like some weird like goo on his face, and then he turns into a monster. It's so
that's
funny
why I kind of...
that Prometheus really is an Alien ripoff. Like that is kind of that is kind of like the one thing that's kind of interesting about it, is there's like almost a meta narrative to it of Ridley Scott trying to be like to rip off his own material in an attempt to like
he himself is trying to create life.
Yeah, and also like
perhaps.
In a weird attempt
maybe he sees himself as David.
Well, I think there's a mix of him like wanting to take it back, like take the franchise back from like the like corporate version of it, which I think is like what like Weyland-Yutani you can almost see as like the film studio in that thing, of being like they don't know what they're after really, and if they found it they wouldn't like it, you know, like
Yeah.
I think that's mainly what the movie's about. But also, it's just kind of interesting with him being like, "See, these were my ideas," and I'm like, "I'm not. I think you're proving. I don't think you're proving that with Prometheus. I think you're proving where your interests were versus where maybe other people's interests were." But that was the other thing I was watching. I was watching a documentary that was basically like that was insisting Dan O'Bannon was the one who brought Giger on board for Alien, and that it was like, and Ridley Scott didn't even know who he was. Like once Ridley Scott saw it, he fought for him, but the documentary was like Dan O'Bannon was the one who made that choice. And that's why if you look at some of the concept art, it says Dan O'Bannon's Alien, because Dan O'Bannon was the one that commissioned that work. So,
yeah.
mind you, they had just worked together on Jodorowsky's Dune, which didn't go anywhere. So, like,
oh yeah.
So
that's true. Yeah. I mean, I could definitely see that being more Dan O'Bannon's thing, especially because we're talking like the body stuff. I think I would like. I'm gonna take Deep Star 6 and Leviathan off the Alien thing. I just wanted to bring them up for this.
No, yeah.
I think Life Force still kind of holds as like a quasi Alien riff. Not a rip off, but it's like there's similar stuff there specifically with the body, and like, you know, like when I first saw it and logged it on Letterboxd all those years ago, I called it like Nos Fuck Atu, because it's just like there's all the stuff about like the sex, the vampire space shit. Like when they enter the vampire ship, it's like it's a little, you know, crevicey, we'll call it.
What?
Not to the extent of like Star Trek.
How
but,
dare
you know.
you? I mean, all that imagery is an Alien too. It's just like,
yeah.
I think Toby Hooper was more interested in like actual eroticism, whereas Alien is like the human body is disgusting, nature reproduction is disgusting, all life is disgusting. Like, I think, I don't think there was that. That's maybe something that I think maybe the ripoffs don't grasp, is that it's supposed to just be horrible, but whatever.
Well, I think this is why the Aliens era of ripoffs is, I think they start coming faster.
Yeah.
And they start, this is kind of why I think more people respond to Aliens, because Alien, you know, we're talking about all this weird science fiction stuff, for better or worse. Aliens is like, just go shoot the monster. You know, like Aliens is so much more than that, but I think that's what a lot of people respond to. That's why every fucking space action video game for 30 years is just Aliens, you know? Aliens, like even Halo is just a shadow of its former self, but it was Aliens at one point.
Yeah, Aliens is probably like one of the greatest influences on video games of all time. Like, it's probably done more for the video game industry than it's done for the film industry, right? Like, I mean, really, it's...
Well, how dare you? Zack Snyder made Army of the Dead, which is definitely not just a copy and paste outline of the Alien script with zombies.
That's giving him too much credit.
It is straight up that, and I like that movie, but it is straight up Aliens.
Yeah, but it's also boring.
There's a Burke and everything.
Yeah. I think not to go on a limb here, I don't think Zack Snyder knows what he's doing.
I like what I like of him, but I can't keep defending him. We're moving on, though, because we're not kicking that hornet's nest again.
We can kick it. No one's around anymore. They didn't turn out for fucking Rebel. They didn't show up for Rebel Moon.
I know.
DCEU's dead.
We're not. No. We're not. No, we're not.
I'm just saying that. I'm just saying they didn't turn out for it. And it turns out maybe they actually didn't give a shit about Snyder's vision.
Maybe. Well, one of my favorite Aliens ripoffs, and I saw it before I even saw, oh my god, then like a lot of these. This is the Sci-Fi Channel banger from back in the day. Carnosaur 2, which is just aliens with velociraptors and a T-Rex.
It's like, what if there were dinosaurs, but instead of the aliens?
Yeah,
I guess that one's a lot more malleable in terms of the ripoffs. There's some where like it doesn't make any sense that you can tell they're riffing on Aliens, even though it doesn't make any goddamn sense. Did you ever,
Deep Rising,
Deep
which
Rising,
comes later. There's some other stuff I want to mention,
which is
but
like
I love Deep
yeah,
Rising.
Deep Rising is one of the better ones, and that's honestly kind of insulting to the other films. Like, no offense to Deep Rising, but there's a. Did you ever see Virus?
I have seen Virus.
That is totally trying to do an Aliens thing to the point where like Galen Hurd's a producer on it, right?
Yeah.
And that is but they're like a salvage boat, right? But like they all talk like they're dumb Marines, and that movie is so trying to be like Aliens meets The Thing, and it fails miserably. But it has some amazing monster effects in it.
Okay, I know you wanted to go chronologically, like time wise, but there's another one I have to bring up now.
Yeah. Go ahead.
A 2015 movie called Harbinger Down. Have you heard of this?
Yes.
That is the movie directed by the guys over at ADI, specifically Alec Gillis. ADI is the group of guys that do all the alien effects, basically from Aliens up to like AVPR.
Yeah, and they were
right
were
for
they,
Alien and Predator.
Is this the one where they worked on, what do you call it? Fucking, you know what I'm about to say. Is this the one where they worked on The Thing and they got all their shit cut out? Is this that group too? The Thing prequel, I mean.
Yep.
Yeah. That's because that was like the story with this, where it's like those guys are gonna make a movie now, right?
And it was like, oh yeah, of course, great.
Yeah, and then it wasn't very good.
No, it wasn't. It was kind of a bummer because I got really excited about that.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do? But yeah, that's definitely Aliens and The Thing.
Yeah, that's one of those ones where like don't like. It's that thing I always say with I say this with like the hero's journey too, the Joseph Campbell bullshit. It was like, don't use this to bring it back to Zack Snyder, because Zack Snyder is so totally like every time he writes anything he whips out fucking Joseph Campbell, and I'm like, dude, it's making your movies worse. Like, stop doing this. Don't hit these beats.
Yeah.
Write something organically. You will, if the monomyth is true, you will hit these beats organically if you just write the story, right? But like using it as a blueprint, you're just gonna end up making something boring that just hits beats because they're obligated to. And I feel like you get a lot of that with these type of ripoffs, where people are like, "Well, I want to do The Thing," right? Like, of course, I would love to have made John Carpenter's The Thing, and then like you get a movie that just like hits a bunch of those beats, but like you can tell those movies were built backwards from those and not very smoothly, and it leads to movies that are kind of like there's a lot of emptiness to them, and it's like, well, I can see why you wanted to make this, but like it just didn't turn out very well. And yeah, like it's there's nothing wrong with like using something as a jumping off point, obviously, but you should just don't these movies are just, this is a path that has been trod too many times, right? Like, don't go, I want to do Aliens. Like, just don't do it.
Yeah.
If you want to use Aliens as inspiration, fine, but maybe have an idea like organically outside of it and be like, and then maybe when you're halfway through it, be like, oh, it's kind of like Aliens, and then maybe you let it influence you. But hey, what do I know? I just watch these movies.
Would you consider Species like a riff of any kind?
Species,
or is it just the H.R. Geiger?
Species is this weird attempt to combine Alien with the Terminator franchise. That's what Species is trying to do. Where she's the Terminator.
Should they try it again?
No, but here's the thing. You know what? All right, I watched about half of Species 2 like a year ago and like fell asleep during it.
I remember this.
Yeah. So like, it like that's one where like it's the woman in it in the first one, right? And then there's a guy in the second one that's the species going around trying to have sex, right? That's happening. So like, there's some convoluted reason that they need to clone her again, the original species, right? There's some convoluted reasoning behind that.
Mm-hmm.
But then she turns evil again, right? Is that what happens in Species 2?
I think so.
See, that's where they fucked up. They should have done Terminator 2 with Species 2, where she should have been the hero of the sequel. Like, I'm not even joking. They should have ripped off Terminator more.
I know.
It would have been really good if she came back. Because that's kind of the thing about Species is like a bad movie, but she's really good in it as like this weird alien. And like it's like, oh, she understood what the fuck these movies were. Like, she's the best part of this thing. And then the second one, it's like, you have an opportunity to make her like Arnold. Like, she could be this like great kind of monster action protagonist. And it's like, what if we just did the first movie again? Fuck that movie. They're not very good either.
No.
The guy who directed The Changeling directed Species 2.
Oh my god.
That's crazy. What a downgrade.
What the fuck? I that's like, I feel like I just got whiplash from that.
Hey, sometimes you can't get work, man.
Yeah, but like, it should at least be more memorable.
He also did Zorro.
We forgot that she turns evil in that movie.
That's what I kind of... Again, I fell asleep watching it, so like maybe that doesn't happen. But
all right, wait. Let me check. I want to make sure now too.
She's different.
I don't know if you direct The Changeling, you're like a hero.
Yeah, Changeling's really good. If you haven't seen it, people.
Yeah. No, I think she turns evil.
Yeah, like what a dumb move.
Yeah.
That movie bombed.
Oh, she has a baby at the end? I don't remember that.
She had a baby at the end of the first one.
Oh my god, I don't remember anything about this franchise.
They're not good.
So not nearly as good as Alien or Terminator.
That's one of those weird ones where like you watch it and it's like it's got this fantastical element of the the species or whatever, which is kind of a fun science fiction idea, And then Forrest Whitaker shows up and he's like, "Oh, by the way, I'm a psychic." And it's like, what? Like, we're just accepting that psychics exist in the. Okay, all right, sure. Like, that's a weird. Is he in the second one? No, he's not. They didn't get him back.
Well, look, there's a couple more ones in the '90s I want to get through.
Yeah, go ahead.
Leprechaun 4 in Space, of course.
Critters.
Event Horizon is just trying to. Did you say pretty good?
I said Critters. You can throw Critters in there.
Oh, okay. I was like, whoa, I've not. That would have been a shock. Yeah, Critters. All the Critters, basically.
Yeah.
Critters 2 rules, though. I love Critters 2.
Yeah. Critters, Critters 1 and 2 are good, and then the rest are trash. But
yeah, they've never been able to like just make a fun fucking movie again with those. I don't know why.
It's odd. It feels like it should be kind of easy, but they can't do it.
Yeah.
But
they turned into a giant like ball in the second one, and it's just like, wow, what a creative set piece.
Speaking of which, the guy Don Keith Opper, who's like in all the original Critters films, was a production coordinator on Galaxy of Terror. So.
Oh wow.
So there you go.
Yeah, the alien connection holds strong. Event Horizon from your boy Paul W.S. Anderson.
Yeah, another trash film that people defend because they're lying to me.
Well, that one's like Alien and Hell.
No, that one is. Let's hope that general audiences don't know what Doom is, because they'll be very disappointed.
Yeah. There's also that element to it.
The movie sucks so hard.
Sam Neill is really good in that movie.
Sam Neill is good in every movie he's in, so that's not an excuse.
That's true. I don't know. I kind of like it. I don't really. That's as far as I'll go for defending that one.
Yeah,
that's not even a defense. Mimic we talked about before in the retrospectives. Definitely like alien coded.
Yep.
The great Charles S. Dutton in that one too. Deep Rising, which you mentioned. How do you feel about Sphere?
You know what? I've never seen Sphere.
Okay.
I read the book though.
But you like the book?
Michael Crichton's a weird guy.
Oh yeah, of course.
But I remember liking it when I read it in like middle school. So.
Okay.
But that was it. When you're in middle school, it was still kind of an era where just like anything I read, I liked. Unless it was about sports, because like they kept insisting that kids want to read books about kids on sports teams. I'm like, no.
Yeah, what was that?
I don't know.
Yeah, what is that?
I don't know.
Is that like a psyop?
I think it's one of those things where they make that mistake. At least for me, I don't know if this is true for everyone, but like they make the mistake of like, you know what preteens want to read about preteens, and it's like, no. I want to read Cujo. I want to read books where a bunch of insane shit happens. Like I don't want to read a book about kids in high school because I'm in middle school.
Well, I think that's why YA books are still so hot, even if the other mediums of it are not. It's like because you can sell that like, oh, we're writing about young kids, but also crazy stuff happens.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you get the best of both worlds in the literary form.
Well, there's like a lot of YA though. I feel like now there is a substantial amount of YA that is also just kind of like teens and their problems, right? And it's just not the mass market shit it used to be in terms of like I don't know, like there used to be
Rebellion.
Yeah, like where it's just like you could tell that whoever wrote it in like a month. Right, that it wasn't like but now you have like a whole and now like I think what the fucking YA people really tapped into was that kids want to read books about gay teenagers because that seems to be a huge part of that market now.
Yeah, or my favorite trope. Oh no, they have to hide out, but there's only one bed.
Yeah, no,
in this motel or whatever.
Isn't that like the best?
Or in the tavern? Excuse me, the tavern.
No, yeah, it's like oh no, we're snowed in. What the fuck are we gonna do? So it works every time.
Yeah, look, if it ain't broke,
it's guaranteed to work 50% of the time, all of the time.
Yeah.
See, that's
how
why.
How do you feel about Deep Blue Sea as an alien riff? Really quick.
I think that's too close to Jaws. I know it's a shark thing, but it's like, I don't know. That's it's just kind of like genetically engineered sharks. I think that's more of just a general monster movie than
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I just saw it. That was another one I saw on the movies like Alien, and I kind of brush it off. But I do remember Rennie Harlan was in line to do Alien 3 or Alien Resurrection.
Alien 3, and it was that was the one where it was going to be them on Earth, and there's even that teaser trailer that exists. That
no, you was Alien 3. You're right, but it was gonna be on the alien homeworld.
Oh yes, yeah, he wanted to go to Alien Planet or whatever.
Yeah, and they're like, we have no money to do this, and we're not missing our release date, so goodbye, Jonathan Demme. Like
worked out fantastically.
Yeah, I mean, hey, worked for me.
I mean, sure, but that there's no denying that movie's uneven. Like we love it, but
oh yeah, no, like. They should never make movies like that again. And now it's exclusively how movies are made.
Yeah.
So, good job, everyone, you fucking idiots. Pitch Black is also...
Yeah, no, I think,
that's like the obvious Alien one.
Yeah, I think we both agree that is basically Alien, but if Snake Plissken showed up. Like...
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
Which is what you should do when you're ripping these things off. But...
Yeah, it's like, what if that, but also this happened?
Yeah.
What's that look like?
See,
Jason X is just Alien, but with Jason, and significantly stupider. I called it the Sistine Chapel of dog shit, I stand by that.
That's not a bad take.
I love that movie.
You think there's a certain...
The Descent, I think, is Alien on Earth. I brought that up a little bit earlier, that it's possible to do that, and I was kind of thinking about The Descent when I said that.
But you see, the Descent, though, definitely traces its roots back to, like, Lovecraft, and even, like, you can go even further to, like, even, like, works of, like, people like Arthur Mention and stuff like that, like the pre-weird fiction writers, like... Mm-hmm. It's almost like Hollow Earth, almost, right? Like it's got a lot of like proto Lovecraft stuff. So I don't know if it's definitely it becomes oddly alien coded in the fact that like it turns into like a female action movie basically, like with her, it's mostly her like fighting the monsters by the end, right? Like,
Well, you know what? You're not the only one who's told me that. I think people really overestimate how much action's in that movie. It's mostly people trying to survive.
no, but like it's,
and then when they fight back, someone dies every time.
yeah, but it's still, it is a very action heavy. I mean, it's not like, you know, I'm not saying it's fucking John Wick, but it's action heavy in terms of just fighting, right? Like you don't you don't normally see that combination in monster movies, you know.
I guess not.
It's like even like something like Tremors, where it's more like a problem solving issue, or like The Thing, right? Like they shoot the alien a bunch of times, but it's more about trying to figure out who is and who isn't the monster. And a lot of monster movies devolve into just trying to get away. And at the last minute, someone is like, "What if we tried blowing it up?" Like it's whereas it you know, The Descent has a lot more fighting head on early on, so. I also think Neil Marshall is good at action, at low budget action, or at least he was. Who knows what's going on with that guy right now?
Let's see. What's the last?
He did a movie that like people were like hoping would be a return to form, and then people were kind of disappointed in it.
I don't want to kick a guy while he's down.
Yeah.
There was a great interview with my buddies over at Action for Everyone with him. He seems like a really chill guy.
Yeah.
It has been a while since I've enjoyed his movies.
He did.
That's all.
I'll say this: he did a Michael Fassbender movie I liked.
Oh yeah, Centurion.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
That is a good movie. It might be his last good movie.
Hey, whatever.
I hope that changes. I really do.
You never know.
Because fucking Dog Soldiers, Descent, Doomsday Centurion is like a legendary genre run, you know?
He had one that you said he was trying to get made for years where he described it as like The Thing in the Old West. And
that's so fucking awesome.
Yeah, and I'm like,
what
fucking pump that into my veins now. Like, fucking, what are we doing here if we're not making that? But, like, why did God put us on this earth if we aren't, like, immediately making that movie? But
what the fuck? Yeah, I don't care if I haven't liked his stuff. Give him more money.
Yeah. No.
I've seen the shit you people release in theater. I've seen what makes them applaud. Let him keep cooking.
Yeah. Well, it's also the thing of me being like, people always lament the like lack of genre filmmakers these days. You know, that like they're just like, we don't have the John Carpenters, the Wes Cravens, or whatever, right? And it's like, but whenever we do get a guy kind of like that, like Neil Marshall's kind of in that space, and like, yes, he's had a rough run, but it feels like people have like already been like abandoned him, and it's like, no, that guy should be given more chances than most directors. Like, if you start with Dog Soldiers, we should be coming back to you every few years, being like, here's 10 million, just do something. Like,
yeah,
I mean, that's what we should have done with John Carpenter. Like, how do we not learn that lesson? Like, give the guy a fucking shot, and you know, it's not always gonna.
Yeah, God fucking damn.
Yeah.
Just The Thing in the Old West. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like.
It's also like.
Sorry.
I mean, I also feel like a lot of people forget like a lot of those genre directors that we like from the 80s. It's like they did also like not consistently make great movies. like some of them like have weird ups and downs, but like we let them keep making movies because they stayed in that kind of genre pocket, and it led to like really interesting stuff, you know?
Yeah, you know what? I think a big part of that too is like, just for me personally, like I love stuff that I don't think really works.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the time, like I just said I kind of love Jason X.
Yeah.
I wouldn't dare call that like good, but like, my God, it entertains me to high hell, you know? And like, I think we need to stop talking about movies, not all of them, but like movies and like to qualify them as like good or bad. Like, if we're approaching these as like works of art, like, I don't know, just talk about like how they make you feel and like the form, and then like the content. And content, I mean in the traditional sense. I always have to specify, not in the short snippet video sense.
Yeah. Not in the nightmare media hellscape we live under sense.
Yeah. But I think it's just okay to like embrace and discuss things on their own terms, and you could even like hate it, you know? Like I don't know. I enjoy our conversations about how much you hate Alien Covenant.
Yes, I do.
You know, I think you get something out of that.
All right, Diego,
I feel like I can kind of breeze through.
I got a question for you.
Okay,
Got some
terrified right now.
All right, well, like you love these fucking movies, right?
I do.
These alien
yes.
movies. So you have your own Alien ripoff in your back pocket. You possibly have multiple.
I do. I have
rip-offs
yeah.
in your back pocket.
Maybe 3.
Now, all right. So, as someone who has essentially done that, what do you consider the elements that make it a ripoff?
I'm gonna just make it really simple. I think it needs to work in 90 to 120 minutes. Like, I'm talking real simple. Okay, I promise this will pay off, and if it doesn't, too bad. I'm talking anyways.
Okay.
It needs to be like a really fucking high tension thriller. I think like boilerplate should be the first thing your mind jumps to. Again, this is just my perspective, my experience with Alien. If people don't like describe it as like a roller coaster by the time you're done with it, I think that's not Alien. I think you want something more methodical, you know? Blair Witch Project isn't a roller coaster. It is a masterpiece. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like different strokes. I don't think it has to be. How do I put this? I don't think it has to be that scary. I think I see it as more like thrills.
No,
I'm not classifying genre stuff. Like, you know, people get really specific. Oh, it's actually more of a psychological thriller. I'm not saying that specifically, but I think that the terror elements of it should come from the thrills. It shouldn't be like jump to your mind. Like, you give me shit when I say like Alien's like a favorite slasher. Like, I don't really mean that. You know, like, it's not gonna make my.
You
favorite
better
slasher
not, because you'd be fucking wrong. But
yeah. Science fiction, obviously, and I think an essential part of it that I think a lot of these fucking ripoffs that we've talked about really strike out on is the characters can't be special. I think they have to be, at the very least, working class people. Mm-hmm. They have to be everymen and women and everydays.
There's no way that's not a result of the money people that run Hollywood now.
It is 1,000% a result of that.
Why would we want to watch a movie about oil refineries in space? Like, you got to make them the smart scientist person. Mm-hmm. Women in STEM or whatever the fuck. But,
yeah. Now, I think in those characters' journey with whatever horrific stuff is happening to them, I think then you can play with like the wilder genre elements, like my boy's franchise Skyline. Mm-hmm. I think the first film is no one's favorite, and that's we all know this, but it is like normal everyday people in that movie, and in the sequel, it is also beyond Skyline specifically. Skylines has a different narrative, and that changes, and that will change again with this year's or next year's later Skyline Warpath. Excited to check that out. But in Beyond Skyline, that is also an element. You know, normal everyday people struggling to overcome an alien invasion, and like that movie is not. There's about like 30 minutes where it is doing Alien and aliens, and then the rest of it is like, oh, we're going to Predator, now we're going to Pacific Rim, and that's why that movie fucking rocks. But it is consistently normal everyday people thrust into high tense, high genre situations. And I think that's why I respond to stuff like that, you know. There's, I think, something like Doom, the Doom movie adaptation from 2005, starring The Rock. Have you seen that?
Of course.
Yeah,
it's bad.
Now, this is a very it's bad, and I think this one gets a little bit of leeway against my argument, but I'm gonna tear it down right now. Where like, because Doom Guy is satirical in the games, basically, right? Like in the last two Doom games, which are like so aggressively awesome, they're kind of exhausting to play. Like, they're perfectly made shooters.
Yeah.
but it's like a lot's happening and my eyes are starting to hurt, so I'm gonna take a break. That's
Is
like the level of quality those games are.
Is that the game though? Or is that just us being old men?
You know what? It could be. Maybe it is just us getting older. Because I think I texted you after I saw Godzilla X Kong, and I was like, "Yeah, my head hurts." Like that was loud. And yeah, the Doom movie though, it's them just doing aliens, and then it's like, oh, we're gonna have like, the guy's gonna get like superpowers, and oh, you're not gonna be able to die when you inject yourself with the magic blood or whatever.
God, they have like 7
I don't know.
boxes in Hollywood that they just take ideas from. Like, it's goddamn.
Yeah, I know.
It's one of those where like you just look at how dumb everything is now, and
yeah.
But what do you gonna do?
Even everything like, even stuff that tries to be like aliens and predators, with like this is different, but Stranger Things season 2 is straight up aliens, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean and
I think it's unanimously the worst like reviewed season, unanimously like the one everyone's like, I think I'm gonna hop off here. And then they come back with 2 like fucking bangers, and everyone's like, I'm excited about it again. And then real life stuff happens, and everyone's like, well,
yeah,
we'll see.
Never a better time to pitch the later seasons of Stranger Things, Diego.
It's such a fucking bummer. I know.
I'm never watching season 4 now. So
I know. You should have done it before, but whatever, it's fine.
Look, Diego, honestly, how much am I missing from the culture by not watching it?
It's just a great fucking time.
Yeah,
it was such a great fucking time to watch initially.
I'm just saying, like, Bob Dylan once said the highest purpose of art was to inspire. How inspiring is season 4 of Stranger Things?
You fucking joke. You fucking joke.
All right, sure.
The people that have seen it and loved it are listening to you now, and they realize that I'm correct.
Okay.
But anyways,
all right.
Whatever. It's not the hero.
I mean, enjoy supporting that entire cast. Anyway,
I didn't say that.
No,
I didn't say that.
Diego, this is what he expresses off mic with me. I mean, he expresses.
No, I don't.
He loves the cast of Stranger Things. This is what he said.
Look,
at least that's what he said a few months ago. I don't know if anything's changed since then. Why would it now? They're just they're just actors.
The
on the show.
point being that season 2 is just them trying to do like, well, we'll take the James Cameron beats. You know, they even said before release, I'll never forget. They're like, we're it's really James Cameron inspired season. And I was like, oh, it'd be really interesting if they were like inspired by Avatar, and it, like by inspired by James Cameron, they really just meant we're doing aliens, and it feels so cheap. And it's like the longest season, and it's so boring for so much of it, and it doesn't work. And but to talk about something that does work, this is significantly less alien influenced until like the 3rd act. But Sunshine, Danny Boyle and Alex Garland, Sunshine, I think is a terrific science fiction movie. No one's particularly special in that movie. Like they're experts in their fields. To go blow up the sun to keep it alive, like whatever. I'm not a science person. I don't know what's real or what's not.
Yeah, you know you couldn't actually.
But I love
do
that
movie. Movie's bad.
Yeah. But I think that's a great movie, and Danny Boyle has openly said many times, like, yeah, he was inspired by Alien when doing that. He really wanted like working class looking people to be at the forefront of that movie, and they look like real people. I think that's one of the first movies everyone saw Chris Evans in was like, oh shit, he can act. You know, not that he was bad before, but I think people woke up.
Well,
to
before
that,
it was like cool. Fantastic Four and like shitty rom-coms, right? Like, so he didn't get it. He didn't get all.
And hey, if you go back to watch some of those, which you shouldn't, because those are bad movies, but he's never the problem in like any of them.
No, I mean most.
He's actors. Not like amazing, but it's like he's doing a good job. But whatever. That's not the point. I don't know, the Alien and Aliens influences kind of get like more scattershot, like a big one. I'm just gonna jump ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like
we're all over the place.
I think Kong Skull Island is very much like Aliens, and also that's a bunch of other stuff. I mean,
I don't know. I could see that, but it's also like both Aliens and Kong Skull Island, they're doing like a Vietnam thing, right? Like, so that could be where that
Viet
overlap.
Cong.
Yeah. People told me that movie was good. Remember that?
Well,
For once, I don't think you were one of them, Diego.
no,
Mr. Jurassic
I didn't
World's
like that
actually
movie.
pretty good.
No, well, the second one I still like.
I know you do.
Anyways,
You diseased
yeah.
fuck.
Life is also just straight up Alien.
Yeah.
But that movie sucks.
Better than
People
Prometheus.
told me that one was good.
Better than Prometheus.
No, you're out of your fucking mind.
It's
but
shorter,
okay.
isn't it?
It's shorter, yeah.
Then it's better.
No. What do you think about the Cloverfield sequels? Like, not in terms of quality.
Well, I'm a defender of all of the Cloverfield films. Unless did they do a fourth one?
I love the first two.
Did they do a fourth one while I wasn't paying attention, or did the third one land with such a clang that it was?
The third one ended everything,
Yeah,
including this country.
Well, let's not go that far. That was that one. Remember that was that thing where they did. It was the night of the Super Bowl, right? Like they dropped the trailer and it's like, oh, it's going to be available tonight. Like, wasn't that the big move?
Yeah.
With that, and people were like, holy shit, this is the future of. Oh, it's because it's bad. Like that was like the arc of that. Like it went from goddamn Netflix fucking just destroyed their whole product in like one Super Bowl evening. Like, what an embarrassment.
I mean.
But
you're not wrong. I don't think they ever fully recovered from that. Like, it wasn't that devastating in the moment, but think about it. Like, they kind of have no other cards to play now.
Yeah, but it was one of those.
And they haven't played any.
I like that movie because it's schlock, but it's also not good. Like, it's not like, and it's also How does J.J. Abrams keep doing this? Where it's like, oh, we gotta tie the whole thing together now, and it's like no one wanted that. Right? Like,
yeah.
But like he keeps doing it. But yeah, it was a sort of like, that was the signal of like, oh, because 10 Cloverfield Lane like made money, right? Like 10 Cloverfield, yeah, like made $100 million on a $50 million budget. So to do that and then the next one just goes on Netflix, it sent the signal to everyone that streaming is a dumping ground, right? Like,
yeah, that's
what. When does Bright come out? Because Bright was kind of like people being like, oh, you know, they can do movies. So we mentioned how like the Cloverfield Paradox was kind of like the moment that we realized Netflix was kind of pointless, like that it really diluted them as a brand. And then I mentioned that Bright had come out the year before. And, like, that was, you know, whatever you say about that movie, but it was kind of like a big success for them in terms of, like, oh, you can release a movie on Netflix, right? And it'll have Will Smith in it, right? Well, how do I... The Cloverfield Paradox came out less than 2 months after Bright. I did not realize the guy who directed the Cloverfield Paradox, is doing Captain America: Brave New World. Can I ask the logic of casting Harrison Ford as Thunderbolt Ross?
Well, he's another famous old white man.
Yes, but you're replacing William Hurt, who died at age 71.
Yeah.
And Harrison Ford is currently 81 years old.
Yeah.
Just, you know.
Yeah, I know. Not very smart. I'm assuming that they're just going to like not use him for that many movies.
Oh my god, oh my god.
What did you do?
I totally forgot there's gonna be a Mossad agent character in Captain America: Brave New World.
Oh yeah. Well, no, they changed her background. Now she's just gonna work for the CIA, which is way better.
Oh yeah, well they've never done anything weird.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, I give them points for changing it.
Yeah. Well, here this is the last thing on this, and then we can start wrapping up.
God.
But like,
oh my god,
I do think it's like there is like a little something sad to this because like they're clearly having trouble with that movie. And to the point where, like, even Bucky, the Winter Soldier's not going to be in it now. and like all of like Sam Wilson's supporting characters who he's been in with the other movies are not in it. It's all like entirely new people, including like the new lineup of Avengers, I guess. So it's like who is this for? You know, like
Yeah.
even for the people that still cared, like I want to see Captain America and the Winter Soldier team up on more adventures if I liked this stuff still, you know?
Was this was this something where he was originally gonna be in it and then he's just not now?
Yeah.
I mean, whatever, man.
Yeah, I mean, this stuff doesn't matter, but I'm just like, oh, that's kind of a bummer. I mean, because Anthony Mackie was saying, like, you know, it's kind of lonely. I feel like I'm not working with my friends anymore.
Well, that's
or something
been the
like that.
funny thing about the press tour of this movie is everyone sounds miserable. Like, what is the mandate to sell this movie? It seems more defeated than the fucking press tour for Aquaman 2. Like,
oof, yeah. No, there's some Lovecraft in there. In Aquaman 2. Yeah. No. You can see James Wan going for that.
Yeah.
I'm not like a defender of that movie. I'm just saying.
I feel like we gotta talk about that movie one of these days.
Yeah. I would be interested.
Your audio just did like a weird thing, but you sound good now.
Okay. Oh. Sorry. This is getting all fucking wacky. I guess it's a sign to wrap up soon. But
Patrick Wilson is so hot in the Aquaman movies. James Wan definitely sees it. He keeps putting him in the movies.
Yeah, well, they've worked together a bunch of times now.
But it's like, it feels like now that like he's become James Wan's muse. Like,
mm-hmm.
The amount of times he's used the fucking guy. But hey.
No.
Sorry, James Wan. Sorry that movie bombed.
Yeah. Well, he'll be fine.
Wasn't your fault.
He's gonna do other shit. And actually, you know what?
Will he?
It made like, it technically did make its money back, and like it is the most profitable DC movie since like fucking since before the pandemic started. So
there's no way Zaslav didn't fuck it up though.
No, yeah, 100%.
Zaslav like fucking he like lit a pile of money on fire.
Yeah.
But God, that guy's dumb. But don't worry, he's a multi-millionaire.
Well, here's a nice little pivot. Video games, we've talked about like how Aliens is like so influential for that stuff. Dead Space is probably like one of the most explicit like things ever to be inspired by Alien. You know, it is just Alien.
That is Alien meets the Thing. Like it is the Alien structure with Thing aesthetics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what that movie is. I mean, you could take this all the way back to like System Shock, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I mean, and System Shock you can take back to Metroid, which you can take back to Aliens. Like they're all connected.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, isn't the story with Doom is that they wanted to make an Alien game, but then they were like, fuck it, the rights would be too difficult, so then they just came up with their own thing?
I don't know, but that wouldn't surprise me.
I think that was part of it. And do you know where they get the title Doom from? Do you know what gave them the idea?
No, actually.
I believe it's in the Martin Scorsese movie, The Color of Money.
God damn.
Tom Cruise gets out like the box that he has his pool cue in. And this guy goes, "What do you got in there?" And Tom Cruise just goes, "Doom." And allegedly that was like the moment we're like, oh, we should call a game Doom.
Well, hey, if you're going to be inspired by anything, you should be inspired by Martin Scorsese's second least good movie.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I just realized I own Boxcar Bertha on DVD, and I didn't even realize it.
Oh, I was talking about Shutter Island, but okay.
Wait a minute. Whoa, whoa. You coming to my fucking house with fucking that? That's your fucking take?
I think it's fine.
I let you try to tell me anything about Covenant, and you're gonna come here and be like, Shutter Island's one of Scorsese's worst. Go fuck yourself.
And not one of.
Listen, Jesus Christ. Diego, I'm genuinely gonna hit you with something.
Look, it's not bad.
Well, what are
I
you
don't,
saying now?
I don't get anything out of it. I just watch it and I'm like, yeah, yeah. It's like it's good.
See,
He made
you
a
can
he
get
made a
something
well-made movie.
you can get something out of a movie as torturously boring as Prometheus, but you can't get something out of Shutter Island.
I don't know. Everyone in that has done better work, even
That's
especially
actually not
together.
true. That's actually not true.
What? Who hasn't?
DiCaprio.
No, they made The Departed like 4 years before that.
He's bad in The Departed.
That's crazy.
There's all right. He's good in The Departed if Jack Nicholson is supposed to know the whole time he's an undercover cop, which I'm never totally sure about The Departed.
I think that's fine to be ambiguous.
Yeah, because there's no way you wouldn't have that dinner scene with him and not be like, "Oh, this guy's totally a cop." He's the lead. I'm saying all of Martin Scorsese's best movies feel like pranks on DiCaprio, and that's why Shutter Island's one of the best.
No.
It was like, "Oh yeah, buddy, you're a detective." Like that's what Shutter Island is. Good job, DiCaprio.
Well, look. I just want to wrap up by saying the last things that they
Saying
tried to
that
make.
you've completely invalidated any take you've made with this Shutter Island is one
It's
of
Scorsese.
Scorsese's
His worst movie's still like 3.5, 4 stars. You know, like
This is the product of a diseased mind that I'm speaking to right now.
Last Voyage of the Demeter.
I'm gonna take your ass to fucking Shutter Island now.
Last Voyage of the Demeter is I think the most recent attempt at doing an alien style thing, and it didn't work. Shows how hard it is, and also
So
you can't really capitalize on it.
Stop doing it. Maybe we should stop doing it.
I think you kind of have to stop doing alien ripoffs unless you like. You can't just plug in the numbers and be like, oh, what if Alien, but here. Like, there has to be more behind it than that. And
well, I think we're at the time where you need to go back and you need to strip down what Alien really is about, right? Like, and not do the mechanics of the plot and not do the aesthetics of it. Like, you need to get to the underlying core of like, why did that movie hit? And that movie hit because it is about the fear of the unknown, like, which, you know, that's essentially one of the great fears we all have, is this fear of the unknown, especially out there in space. So if someone take that and run with it, but don't try to remake Alien, like, just play with that idea of space is fucking scary and we don't know what we're going to run into out there. So,
and if you're not doing that full-on sci-fi approach about space, make it at least the space the movie's set in. You know, like the environment has to be like, it has to become scary. Basically, how are you gonna make that scary? And I disagree about the aesthetics thing. I kind of do want the aesthetics more often, not just alien aesthetics, but you know what I mean, like the grit, the texture, the grime. I want more of that.
I've seen too many people try to do Alien. They're not doing a good job at it. We are overdue for someone to change sci-fi aesthetics. And by that, I do not mean make it look like an Apple store, which seems to be the choice everyone makes.
Oh, yeah. I don't want that anymore either.
I want you to think about the world we live in currently and then try to make that science fiction looking.
We already have boxcars, so...
Yeah, well, aren't they all like... Aren't they about to recall all the Cybertrucks?
Yeah, all the Polygon cars just got recalled because sometimes the brakes don't work or something, or the accelerator won't shut off.
But the Cybertruck thing I saw was that the part of the accelerator can like slide forward and get jammed. So you can just like... These things are fucking death traps. Oh my god.
That's... Okay, I'm glad no one's been seriously hurt, but oh my god. Oh my god.
I know.
Hey, at least they're not blowing up every other day.
I mean, this might be happening and we're just not hearing about it.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, no, I'm not giving that fucker the benefit of the doubt. Never mind.
Yeah. It's amazing how much bad Cybertruck information has gotten through on Twitter. So if that's what's gotten through, what isn't?
Yeah, and you know what? Maybe this is another thing to take into account. So like all the sci-fi stuff about like these wealthy like corporate owners and stuff like that, and I think we have to, just given the world we live in now, recognize that these people are not actually smart. They just have a lot of money to throw around. And maybe add that to your alien riff if you're out there writing one or trying to do one, you know?
They desperately want approval from people that hate them.
Yeah. Which is why Mr. Wayland and Prometheus is a stroke of genius minus the makeup, which does not look good.
That doesn't fit anything we were talking about right now.
I'm just trying to get some more Prometheus praise in there.
So. I know, but that was the opposite of what we were discussing.
You know what? If you're here on listening to the podcast, then you know it.
All right, here's how you save the Alien prequels that Ridley Scott was doing. Here's how you save them. Make it all right. This is how you make David interesting, because he's not. You do the plot of Succession, but with aliens.
What?
It makes perfect sense.
My friend Matt Brown already tweeted that out, and I don't have the tweet on hand because I didn't know this is where the discussion was going.
Sorry, apologies.
No, but he was like, just imagine like Connor totally buys like farmland on like LV-426 or something like that, and then Greg is like, I found these logbooks from one of the bishop androids, and I'm not saying it seems unsavory, but it seems like there's a lot of people missing from the colony, and it looks like someone attempted to like delete them from our records, but I found some, so I don't know what that's about.
Here's what I'm really saying, though. I want David to be Kendall Roy.
Oh yeah, just go fucking nut.
Yeah, but the desperate seeking of his father's approval, that's the type of android I want to see. Okay. And he can do all of that evil shit too, but it's got to clearly be, he's got to have that same hollow drive that Kendall Roy had. Okay. That would be incredible.
Oh my god. I'm just imagining the Kendall Roy rap he does for Logan's birthday now.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, David doing that would make him one of the top 10 movie characters of all time.
Well, that's Prometheus 3.
AFI. See, that's what I'm saying. If they're gonna do it, if that's the pivot they make, if that's what Ridley Scott wanted to do, I will take someone at Disney hostage to get the movie made. But I need David Kendall Roy.
All right. Okay, I'll see what I can do. I'll put a good word in.
All right.
With my boy Ridley.
Yeah.
He hasn't let me down lately, so.
Lately?
Yeah, lately.
How would you define lately?
I really loved The Last Duel, and I thought Napoleon was a hoot.
I have not seen Napoleon yet.
You might like it.
I might, but I'm also torn because there's there's the two versions of it.
Well, I don't know if that's gonna happen anymore. But there's supposed to be a 4-hour director's cut coming.
Yeah, and I'm why not? Why don't I just wait for that?
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at, because it's kind of why would I? It's the Kingdom of Heaven thing, right?
Yeah. I don't think Napoleon's really truncated though. That's the thing, which makes me more curious about the cut.
If there's a 4-hour version, I'm just whatever.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
How about Gladiator 2?
That movie is supposed to be fucking insane. But every time someone hypes it up as that, I just remember, like, well, you guys have read the Nick Cave script, right?
Yeah.
Because if it's not that insane, then it's not that insane.
How did he not get shot for writing that?
I don't know, but I do kind of wish that was the version that got made.
No, I agree. It would have bombed and everyone would have hated it, but I wish it existed.
Yeah. I don't know.
And then they could do this version of Gladiator, right?
Yeah, yeah. This would be like to win back the fans, you know?
Yeah, 100%. That's what they should have done.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Ridley, it feels like Ridley, like that's part of Covenant, which is why I think that movie's so angry. Is I feel like Ridley just did it because it was an easy green light post Prometheus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I feel like with both Prometheus and Covenant, he had other ideas about space that he wanted to like explore, space and like androids, because he's one of those guys who it kind of feels like he's like, this is how space travel would actually be, kind of stuff he puts in his movies, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't give a fuck, Ridley. And it feels like he just wanted to do that, and it was like, well, I can make that movie if I tie it into the Alien franchise. But
yeah. I mean, I guess another thing I just want to leave off on, if the Alien franchise is to continue, and it looks like franchises, all of them, are just going to continue regardless of how much money they lose, and I say this as like the number one Alien fan, I do want to see like different type of artists approach the franchise, like do what they're starting to do with Predator now, where like it's just going to be one-off movies and we're going to give it to this director. You want to do a sequel to that one because that was such a hit? Okay, we'll do Prey 2, but we're also going to do a different Predator set somewhere else. I'd like to see if Alien has to exist, like, I don't know, give it to like a woman for the first time, you know?
Here's my take though. I do not think Alien is a strong enough franchise to do that. And I think it is. I think the biggest thing holding the Alien franchise back is that the first movie is too good. I don't think you can really do the different settings type thing with it. Or like, you know, not settings, but like, you know, get different people's takes on it. Because honestly, you know, we're the Alien 3 defenders, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Alien 3 is strongest until it goes full bore being an Alien movie, right? Like, when it is kind of just like the prison colony living in like the slow buildings of plot, that's when the movie is the strongest. Once it turns into an Alien movie, it becomes less interesting. Alien Resurrection is bad. I don't know what you fucking see in that movie.
Oh, that's a whole episode's worth of stuff.
But you also like Firefly, right? So
yeah,
like
yeah.
So I guess that's why you like it.
Yeah. I don't know. I find this like forgive me for saying this, but I find the stuff about bodily autonomy like really fascinating in that movie, and like whether or not like that is Ripley or if that's. Like that's a new person. That's not the Ellen Ripley we knew and loved. That's a new person now. It's a new being, you know. So it's not like they're putting all this weight on that character to be Ellen Ripley, but it's not her. And I don't know. I find that stuff really interesting in that movie.
That's
and
great,
like,
Diego. What happens in the movie?
She blows it out of the goddamn airlock.
Yeah, exactly, you fucking asshole.
But I love it. It's so gross.
Yeah, fuck. All of you can go fuck yourselves. Like, you talk about like these fucking lofty plots, and then like the fucking plots of these movies are so boring. Ugh. And especially Resurrection is just. I mean, I guess that's where people get the Deep Blue Sea connection, because Alien Resurrection does feel like a Deep Blue Sea type movie.
Yeah, I mean, they structurally have more in common than Alien Resurrection does with any of the others, which is like.
But I guess what I'm saying is like that's why like when you're like excited about Romulus, I genuinely cannot picture what you are excited about it, like other than you will see the alien again.
Yeah, that is what I'm least interested in with more Alien movies, if that makes sense.
Exactly. Like, and what? So what is it? What are we doing here?
I like when they like I was just talking about with Resurrection and Covenant. Like I like when these start exploring like ideas of like the self and like other strange offbeat sci-fi concepts. Like I would love to see other artists sneak like sci-fi
Offbeat,
ideas.
offbeat, offbeat. I'll fucking run you over with a
I
car.
want to see these other artists like if they have these sci-fi ideas like sneak them into the Alien franchise if it has to continue. I think I am at the point where like if this one doesn't work, like I will be hesitant to embrace anything else that comes out
Mm-hmm.
in motion picture form, right? Versus like Predator, where I'm like, yeah, just keep doing those. I don't. That's great.
See,
Make some violent shit.
I also think this might be the mistake we're making with the Alien sequels is that we're talking about them in terms of exploring sci-fi concepts. Because Alien is a gothic horror film in space. I actually don't know how much Alien is a science fiction film.
That's you know what
Like
that's I've never really
like
separated the two concepts. I think that's the brilliance of Alien is that it is just all of that, you know. But you see it more as that, which is maybe why you're more hesitant to ever like be
well, I
on
mean,
board with
but
the franchise the way I am.
what I'm saying is, uh, like I made my point with Diego and I were discussing the movie Interstellar for some reason recently. Who knows why? And I made the point in that episode that Interstellar is much closer to a fantasy film than a science fiction film, and I did not mean that in a derogatory sense. I think you can back me up on that. Like I meant that positively. That I think that movie has a fantasy film structure, and it's pretending to be a science fiction film. I don't think any of the sci-fi elements are actually interesting in Interstellar, and I think you can make the argument for Alien not really being a science fiction film. In terms of, I think the science fiction elements are the less interesting stuff, and that, of course, is what the sequels seem to focus on more and more. Um, I mean, I think that's part of the course correction they try to do with Alien 3 is that really feels like David Fincher trying to bring it back to the gothic horror roots, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's got such a gothic horror vibe to it that you will then see him carry over into something like Seven. Um,
And then
but
everyone's
I
like
don't think
angry.
there's like yeah, but like what are the what would you say is the science fiction idea of Alien 3?
Yeah, Alien 3. I think I'm in more agreement about Alien 3. I don't think that's like hardcore science fiction. It's more
yeah, exactly.
apocalyptic, you know?
Yeah. But then, all right, then what about Aliens?
Yeah, Aliens. It's more of an action movie. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just what it
None of these are
is.
criticisms. I'm just saying that, like, I think that it's been the mistake to go down the science fiction rabbit hole with these movies. I don't think these are. I think it's a mistake to that. I think it's the science fiction stuff is window dressing, right? Like, I don't
Hmm.
think those ideas are what's actually interesting. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's why people respond to Aliens as like the best of the franchise, still. Which I think you and I are in agreement that maybe not, but like I could see how you get there. Aliens is so like it's got James Cameron's tech fetishization, you know, like not just with the guns, but like the flying technology, the gears, you know, and the winding, the opening, closing door stuff. Like I think that's what people like kind of latch onto, and that's like okay, well this is future stuff. This is okay. We're doing that here. Versus something like Alien 3's, which even the score is much more like operatic, you know.
mm-hmm.
Um, the all the characters look like farmers, you know, like they're not. You know, they're monks and like prisoners. Or they're not monks. Excuse me. They were monks at one point, and then they changed that at the last minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is much more fantastical, and I think Resurrection, Prometheus, Covenant, and it looks like Romulus. They are just gonna be, you know, hard sci-fi. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest, until you brought this up, I didn't really consider Alien like more fantasy. Besides the setting, it's the it's the dark, it's the scary castle, um,
Yeah.
in
It's
space.
Dracula's castle.
Yeah.
I mean, the vampire myth is another story about that sort of like violation of our bodies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Well, I mean, Covenant
it's
kind of has it with the David's Castle. I think that's the closest you get, and
well,
I don't
yeah,
think
yeah,
that
yeah,
even
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Prometheus and Covenant have ideas that were already done in Alien and done better, stretched across two movies.
I'm just saying that they pop up, but they never commit to the fantasy idea as much as Alien or Alien 3.
Yeah, because I
That's all.
think those movies are indecisive about what they're doing. Because Ridley Scott is an old man who's trying to capture his former glory, even though he's still making good movies.
So if we're
But
talking
I
fantasy
think you're
directors, then we will sign off right now. If someone came to you and was like, "Look, Matt, we're just gonna keep doing Alien, fuck you, but we're gonna go for like a fantasy infused one," who do you pick? Who do you got off the top of your head?
well, we don't have a lot of great dark fantasy people these days, right? Like,
No.
it makes sense that Ridley Scott will eventually do Legend post Alien, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm trying to think who would I I'm not sure if there is maybe Robert Eggers.
Okay, I did
Like,
not expect that.
I mean, I'm not sure. Like that that's kind of just a like there's a bit of an alien vibe to the lighthouse.
The working class angle stuff, especially. I see
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And I mean, I'm waiting to see where like Nosferatu goes, essentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but he's got that like infused kind of fantasy stuff to his work, and he might go a little too far, right?
Yeah.
In terms of making it like not work, but I don't know. He's the one. He's the one where my brain kind of. Who do you have? Someone?
I do have someone. I tweeted about it a long time ago, and everyone got so mad. Um,
Mhm.
J.A. Bayona. Now, it's not just the Jurassic World thing. Don't go there. I
I know.
think he's a really fantastic director. The Orphanage, A Monster Calls have these really wondrous, fantastical elements to them, but they're always a little scary. You know, like
Mhm.
they're like A Monster Calls is like a really fucking dour movie
Yeah.
at the heart of it. Um, but he's got such an eye for filmmaking, and like, say what you will about the second Jurassic World, but I don't think anyone's like, this is an ugly movie. You know what I mean? Like he can fucking direct the shit out of a movie, and I think the better sequences in that are the action, especially. And
Yeah.
not that Alien
I
needs to
don't
be action,
disagree.
but you know.
I don't disagree with you. I think it is one where like he would need a really good script because I think it's about the quality of the script really determines the end product of the movie for him.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But
Um,
I also just think he's a severely underappreciated filmmaker, and I'm like, what the
no,
fuck
no,
are we doing
he's.
with not giving
I
this
mean,
guy every
it is
opportunity?
the step up in directing quality from Jurassic World to Jurassic World 2 is kind of embarrassing. But then Colin Trevorrow is the one that like they bring back.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah,
what's that guy
and
up to?
I don't know. Same thing as J.J. Abrams. But I guess now this will be the official last note, and I think this is another thing that people get wrong about Alien, because I remember after Covenant kind of flopped, there was like, this is back in like the YouTube movie talk days where people were like, what who should save the franchise, you know, and people were like, oh, why don't we just get like a Christopher Nolan type or something? And that's just like the short-sightedness of these people, right?
Yeah,
But
well,
it's
that's always
also
like
like, yeah, I feel like that's
big
what people.
director, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like, no, don't just go big, you know? Like J.J. Abrams for Star Wars, that felt like an obvious choice back in like 2012. Now we're like, don't
Yeah.
do that ever again. So yeah, don't just go big. Like, just think about like who has like in their filmography who has like an angle on fantasy horror. I guess like
Mhm.
I don't need Alien to become fantasy, but since he mentioned it,
Well,
it's
I am
Bayona.
not. I want to stress. I am not saying make them fantasy. I'm just saying that like, it's what is the quote about any advancement in technology is indistinguishable from magic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you give it like this science fiction basis, but it is as fantastical as like a fantasy story, right?
Yeah.
Like that's all I'm saying. But you're pretending it's science fiction, but it's just more like gothic fantasy.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, movies are all fake. They're all fucking made up.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, ultimately, what's going to serve the story you're telling? I don't need to know how the Nostromo works, you know?
I just want to make it clear, I'm not saying, like, make it look like fucking Lord of the Rings or some shit. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that it's closer to those sorts of fantasy elements.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's closer to a lot of, like, the 70s new wave science fiction in a lot of ways, but, yeah. It's, I don't know. I don't know if there really is a right guy to do it, especially right now.
Yeah. I mean, a while back, I would have said Catherine Bigelow, but I think she's in director's jail right now, unfortunately.
Well, that's. I don't think she. I think that's just because Hollywood's stupid.
Well, yeah, but you know,
there's no reason for her to be in director's jail.
No, I didn't even like her last movie, but no.
Yeah, exactly. Like Detroit wasn't like great, but like other directors have made similar kind of like slumps like that didn't end up in director jail, right?
Yeah.
You know.
Oh fuck! Wait, sorry. I got it. The director of The First Omen, Arkesha Stevenson. The fact that she made The First Omen that fucking good, a movie that by all rights should not even exist, and the only stuff I didn't like in it was obviously the franchise mandated producer notes of it. It's the best directed movie I've seen all year. She would kill. Okay. She would kill. Sorry, I got so excited about that movie.
I've been meaning to see it. I just haven't been able to get to it. But
I could not believe that was released by a Hollywood studio, let alone Disney.
Everyone seems like really like excited about it. So I want to check it out. And maybe she would be the right person. But we'll see. Maybe Alien Romulus will turn everything around.
I don't know. Watch you love it and me hate it.
Alien Romulus maybe will finally solve the problem of trying to combine Alien with aliens, which is what this franchise has been trying to do for like 30 years now and failing.
Yeah, I know. Stop doing that, everyone.
Yeah, that's the mistake. That's why this franchise can never really go anywhere, because it will never get over the fact that the second movie is Aliens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what kneecapped this fucking thing.
It's so fucking stupid.
The second movie is Aliens, but.
But that was it. That was Alien Day, the Alien Day podcast, our first and probably only one. But this was actually a Matt idea. So thank you. Yeah,
I don't know why. I just sort of started having thoughts about Alien again. I kind of wanted to just go back to it and see if you had any take that would win me over, and it turns out you didn't. But
no. But again, I think these movies obviously mean a lot to me, and they're kind of mine. You know,
it's starting to strike me at the end of this episode though that I think I'm giving the Alien franchise too much credit. They're just vampire movies. No. I think they're just vampire movies, and then like they just kind of put like grosser stuff in them.
So, Francis Ford Coppola's Alien.
Yeah, not kinda.
Yeah. That'd be insane.
It's a long way of saying that it makes perfect sense that there's a video game genre called Metroidvania.
Wow.
I think the connection exists.
Oh my god. You might have just broken like through the looking glass right now.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I think this is why I don't like Prometheus and Covenant, because I've seen so many fucking of these like Hammer fucking Frankenstein and Dracula movies. Like, I know all this shit, and I enjoy the other ones because they don't take themselves too seriously. But, I think it took 2 hours, but I think that's my conclusion, that these are just vampire movies.
Okay. Well, on that note, thank you for doing this and suggesting this. Go watch The First Omen. I think you're really gonna get a kick out of it.
I'll get to it eventually. It's been I want to see it with my sister, and she's difficult to schedule with. So
okay, no problem.
You know, family. But
Yeah.
if shit doesn't work out, I'm just gonna go by myself. But
Yeah.
I'm trying.
I'll just say this, and then I swear to God, I'll let you go. I don't remember watching a horror movie that actually had people like responding, like not like generic audience responses, but like, oh no, you know, like people going
Oh,
like,
okay.
oh
All
shit, like,
yeah, I
yeah,
want to see it. I want to check it out. So,
yeah,
yeah, you don't have to sell me on that one. You did have to sell me on Prometheus and Covenant, but you failed.
I did,
So,
but that's okay. I'm
yeah.
gonna go watch them later. Well, Matt, links down to our stuff down below. Thank you again so much for doing this, Matt. Check out the other retrospectives. We got a couple more as we head off into the summer movie season, and I won't announce what we're doing first though, because that's
Yeah.
that's a fun thing. We're gonna.
You'll know what our next retrospective is by the time the failed awards contender series is done. I guess we can announce the other mini retrospective we're gonna do. The one episode.
Oh yeah. We're doing the retrospective of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, we're doing the Planet of the Apes films.
Yeah. We could just ask. I'm gonna ask this now. Are we waiting for Kingdom to come out first?
I actually wasn't sure what we would do there.
Yeah.
I didn't have an answer either, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. So we'll keep all of you posted on that one.
Oh, cool. The Wikipedia page for Planet of the Apes is now listed under Disney franchises and series.
We live in hell. Thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. If you didn't like this episode, like and subscribe anyways, because you might find something you do like. Happy Alien Day. We have been professionally unprofessional.
I was about to say something and I yawned. It's 1 a.m. here. Good night, everybody.
This is Ellen Ripley signing off. Goodbye.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that shit worked out. Who got her cat? All right, so another thing the Alien franchise is guilty for is spawning fucking Save the Cat. It comes from no, it's the guy directly cites Alien as teaching him that lesson. That the audience likes Ellen Ripley because she saves the cat, something she does in the third act of Alien. Good night, everybody.